Hello. Today I want to share with you some work that one of our legacy CNC customers is doing with his CNC system. It's pretty phenomenal, and it has inspired me to also demonstrate two parts in this video, and that is creating custom arched molding as well as turned either columns or newel posts. So let's go take a look at some of that work that inspired this video. Tyler Clarkson, the owner of A Cut Above Construction and Development LLC, is a professional Finnish carpenter who loves taking on advanced challenges because he sees tons of opportunities. For example, take this current job that he's working on. This is a Lord of the Rings Hobbit-themed Airbnb, and these are becoming more and more popular as investors are trying to create unique experiences for their clients. A unique theme like this requires a lot of custom components, and Tyler was able to do a majority of the finish work here, including all of the turned columns, newel posts and spindles, as well as the arched and curved moldings. So what I'm going to do today is show you how Tyler would have approached some of these parts on his legacy CNC system. Let's start out with the arched molding. Now the molding in this design is more flat and plain. We're going to take it to the next level and have some fun by adding some additional details to a curved shape. Now throughout this video, I'm also going to share some of the decisions I made and why I made them. The first thing I had to decide is how the parts can be mounted to the machine. Now this seems to be my go-to method for any type of custom hardwood components, is using these low pro clamps with the T-slot table. And for this part, I didn't even cut the edges of the blank square because the part is oversized so that I can cut out the entire arched component out of the material. So all I had to do was prep the wood to the right thickness before I took it to the machine. Now the one thing I hope you take away from this is the power of router bit profiles. This is the secret to speed and quality on any CNC system, is the ability to use the shape of a cutter to your advantage. Here I stacked up 4 different cutter shapes to create this molding profile. The first cutter used is a shallow classic. The second is a cove classic. The third is a flat surfacing cutter. The fourth is a flat roundover cutter. And I did use a fifth, the down spiral 3/8 cutter, to cut out the shape of the part. All of these cutters can be found at magnate.net. Now for the first 4 cutters, I kept the cutting parameters pretty simple. I found out that I wanted to get a chip thickness of about 0.01 inches. And so these first 4 tools are rotating at 12,000 RPM, cutting through the material at 240 inches per minute. They're also taking 1/4 inch roughing passes and a 0.05 inch finish pass to give me the best cut quality at the end. Now the one thing I want to point out that's sometimes a little difficult to catch when watching these cutting demonstrations is the direction of climb mill and undercut. So each of these tools are taking multiple passes, and they're actually cutting in both directions, left to right and right to left. What I made sure happened is that the final pass was climb milling in the direction I wanted it to be. And that was determined whether that cutter was cutting along an exposed edge. So for example, the first cutter, it didn't matter which direction I was cutting. The second cutter climb milled against the face that was up against the first cutting edge profile. Again, this is all to minimize any type of tear out and to give me the best finish quality. I used the same logic for the first 4 cutters to make sure I'm getting the cleanest cut quality for this molding profile. Now the last cutter is that 3/8 down spiral cutter, and this is going to cut out the final shape of the arched component. Because this material thickness is 1.5 inches thick, I decided not to use any tabs when cutting this out, because from experience I knew that there would be enough sawdust compacted within the grooves of the part to hold it in place during that final pass. Another thing I've learned when cutting parts out over the years is go past the bottom of the part by a small amount. My go-to amount is 0.02 inches. So instead of 0.15 inch cut depth, I went 1.52 inches deep, which is lightly cutting here into my spoil board table. And in less than 9 minutes with 5 cutters, we have a custom arched component. Now Legacy has been working with Magnate for over 30 years to create custom cutter profiles for you guys. That way you can mix and match cutters of any type to create endless molding profiles. Definitely go check out all of those cutters at magnate.net. To take even more advantage of these cutter shape profiles, we actually use the Vectric software to create an entire tool library with all of these custom profile shapes. Aspire allows you to create any custom profile you wish and add it to the tool library. This technique of being able to apply custom cutter profiles to any vector curve in the CAD/CAM software makes this one of the most powerful features you can do on CNC. If you're interested in learning more about the Vectric software, I recommend you check out their website at vectric.com. Now let's quickly jump over and show how some of these columns or newel posts are produced on his legacy CNC system as well. Now the newel post that we're cutting here is not the exact same design as the one that was shown in Tyler's project. This is just a prototype to show how we're going to approach the cutting techniques to get something similar to that design. Now I messed up when I was recording this, and I messed up the recording of the blank being mounted here in the machine. But we can still see that this is mounted between centers, where the headstock is a self-centering 4-jaw chuck, but mounted on the end of that blank is a faceplate ring, and that is actually what the 4-jaw chuck is connecting to. On the opposite end, we're supporting the blank with our live center tailstock. Now to make this easier to work with, I oversized this blank by 1/4 inch in the diameter. This makes it so I don't have to get a perfectly sized blank perfectly centered in the machine. Again, there's too much room for human error when you're applying screws and holes by hand into the end of your blank. So by oversizing it, I'm going to use the machine to square it to the exact diameter that I need it to be. The overall design for this newel post that we're creating has two different methods or techniques that we're going to be using. And that is indexing techniques, where the stock is going to be held still like shown here, and the cutter is going to be machining whatever detail to that face, and then it rotates and indexes to the next face so it can repeat or do another detail. The other technique is turning, where the stock will continually rotate as the cutter is approaching the material so that the design is applied to the entire circumference of the part. I found it's easier to always do the indexing techniques first before the turning techniques, because you can't guarantee that when you're done with the turning technique that the flat section of your multi-sided part is perfectly square to the machine. So that's why we start with the blank squared to the machine and then perform the indexing procedures first. This ensures everything lines up in the end. Now the first two cutters are going to be used to rough the entire material down to shape. And so the first is machining it square with this 1¼ inch surfacing cutter. Now we get this cutter from magnate.net, and it's unique because the bottom face of the carbide is completely flat and doesn't have a standard 1 degree rake to it. This flat surface makes it so it leaves less tool marks, and we can apply the same cutter to not just flat surfaces, but also cylinder round surfaces. This technique of surfacing your part is a very common technique that you're going to use all over the place on CNC. Whether you're surfacing a part or a tabletop on your horizontal work surface, or if it's a multi-sided piece in a turning center like this. One thing I want to point out here is the step over. The step over is how much material the cutter takes from side to side. Now for my cutters, I typically max out my step over at 40%. And you can go much bigger than that, even up to 60 to 80% step over of the diameter of your tool. The issue that you may run into though is that if you put too much load into the cutter at one time, you're going to cause a lot more tool deflection and material or fixture deflection, which can leave bigger gouges or tool marks in your surface that you'll need to sand out later. 40% seems to be a good sweet spot to where we can still surface the entire area really fast, but have a decent finish to where the sanding is minimum. Now, if this was a smaller blank, I would have gone directly to roughing the stock round with that same surfacing cutter. But because this blank is so big, I have to be aware of tool length limitations. For example, this surfacing cutter can only cut a full depth of about maybe 1¼ inch max. That's where the collet and the collet nut will bottom out on a surface if I go deeper than that. So now that we're turning this stock round, those square sections that are not going to be turned round, those corners are going to have a really big swing diameter. And to get to the finished diameter that I want to get to is greater than the cut depth of the surfacing cutter. So that's why we're using this other cutter. This is a 1/2 inch straight cutter that has a 2 inch cut length to it. And this gives me enough clearance to clear out the corner sections for that surfacing cutter. Now we can switch back to that surfacing cutter and rough out the rest of the material to our round diameters. None of these roughing around sections are part of the finished design, and so I don't care about the finished quality. So I pushed up my feed rate where this is pushing a lot of material through the cutter. In this situation, I'm using a 6 horsepower spindle with this 1.25" surfacing cutter. This blank is rotating close to 86 rotations per minute, and at that diameter that it's swinging at, that's pushing over 1,300 inches per minute of material through the cutter. Only 2 turning techniques were used to rough out the blank, and they are the turning round and turning tool profile toolpaths. These are toolpaths unique to our turning software, Conversational Cam Pro. The turning round moves the cutter along the length of the spindle at any start and end position, along with any finished diameter of our choice. The toolpath automatically programs to have the edge of the cutter climb mill against each edge, but shifts the cutter off center so that when it's traveling down the length of the stock, removing all the material while rotating, it changes how the cutter sweeps across the grain of the material. If it stays directly on the center, the cutter is actually sweeping across the grain of the material, where if we shift the cutter over, now the carbide is sweeping with the grain of the material, giving us a much cleaner cut with minimum tear out. The second turning technique that was mentioned, the turning tool profile, simply plunges the cutter down while the stock rotates. While programming the tool path, we have the ability to climb mill against the left or right edge of the tool during this cutting technique. Now we can get to the final details with the last 2 cutters. The third cutter is a monster solid carbide 3/4 inch down spiral, and it has a 3.5 inch cut length. This side cutting technique that engages the full cut depth is called swarf cutting. After some prototyping and testing, we found that the 6 horsepower spindle can handle a 0.15 inch roughing pass with this tool, and the finish pass is only taking a 1/16 of an inch. Right now, this tool is only traveling at about 65 inches per minute, giving us a chip thickness of 0.0032 inches, just over 3/1000 of an inch. If we wanted to achieve a thicker chip thickness, we would need to increase our feed rate. But in this cutting technique, I would also need to reduce my roughing pass amount so that I don't overload the tool or spindle. This swarf cut technique finished the entire 6-sided tapered section in less than 6.5 minutes. For the final tool, we're using a long 1/8 inch tapered ball cutter with a 3 inch cut length. This long tool will ensure that we have plenty of clearance when the cutter gets close to those swinging corners. We call this turning technique contour turning, and it can turn any profile shape. Legacy's C-Cam Pro software, combined with Vectric's VCarve Pro software, has greatly simplified this process. Originally, we would have to create a 3D model and approach this with a different cutting technique, but now we're able to produce a 2D vector of the shape we want to produce in our Vectric software, export the G-code, and import that G-code into C-Cam Pro. There we have a toolpath that will convert the G-code from a flat 2D profile to a vertical profile while adding the rotation throughout that entire profile movement. Once you have the G-code of your 2D profile that you want to produce, we can do that conversion in a matter of seconds in C-Cam Pro. This importing toolpath is also combined with all the indexing and turning toolpaths that Conversational Cam has produced. This foundational technique of contour turning was one of the main reasons why Tyler Clarkson found so many opportunities. After an hour and a half of training and tutorials, Tyler was able to receive a photograph of the spindle his clients needed, and he's able to trace and produce the contouring process to complete the job. In his first 3 weeks of programming, he produced over $17,000 in revenue in spindles, balusters, newel posts, and columns. A big shout out and thank you to Tyler Clarkson for sharing with us your work and inspiring us to make this type of video. Now, if you're interested in learning more about a legacy CNC system, I recommend you hop on over to our website at legacywoodworking.com. If you just want to watch more videos, hey, I don't blame you. There is lots to explore here on Legacy CNC channel, so have some fun. Now, if you want to be notified about new video releases like these, don't hesitate to subscribe and give us a like if you like what you saw. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.